Good evening. Noting the time and the presence of quorum, I call this May 19th, 2025 meeting of the Acton Select Board to order. I'll start as we usually do with residents' concerns. We're going to try to rigorously enforce the 3-minute public comment period. So please keep your comments brief and to the point. I know a lot of folks have emailed concerns to the Select Board. We read those and certainly take them into account. Mr. Martin, our clerk, is going to be keeping track of time. At 2 minutes, he'll show you a yellow card, and at 3 minutes, he'll show you the red card, and we ask you to bring your comments to an end. So, resident concerns.
And congratulations, Mr. Charter, for serving as chair. Very exciting. Tara from up on Mass Ave. My question, I first have a question, then a comment. So will we be able to speak at the HPP part of things, or is this our last chance in effect?
We will be taking public comment when we're discussing the housing production plan.
Thank you. So my comments are going to revolve around ICE. The immigration, customer enforcement, raids, kidnapping, abductions, whatever you might call them. Some people think they're lawful. The Supreme Court has put doubt in that. And I have sent you citations, legal citations, showing that the town actually maybe have an obligation to use a local municipal police to check the warrants before ICE is able to go into and remove people. So my question is, has the board asked town council how we can leverage, we as a town could leverage the local police force that answers to us, to town meeting. They don't have a constitutional right to exist. They are not paid for by anybody else. And it's my understanding that they don't work for anybody else, yet the statement that came out from the police said that they feel like they have a duty to assist other agencies when, in fact, they work for us. So I would like to know if the town, you guys, are acting to figure out how to use our employees to protect us from unlawful activities by federal agents. I feel like that's really important to know, and I think it's really important for our employees to know who they work for and to be told that they don't serve ICE, that they don't serve other agencies, and that I want to know what you guys are doing about that. So I'm not asking for an answer now because traditionally we don't answer residents' concerns, but I am putting it out there that there are citations, legal citations from important lawyers around the country that indicate that there is both an authority to check the warrants and make sure that the ICE agents are in fact being lawful. And so I hope that people out there are listening to this and perhaps even ask for a copy of those citations so that they can look at it themselves and see how much authority there really is that we may not be using. So, and that I hope that the people out there, is that yellow card up yet? That they can tell their select board members that they would like very much for them to actually take action instead of just sitting by and saying, well, we feel bad for you, but too bad. That they actually leverage as much authority as they possibly can to protect us. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any other citizens' resident concerns?
Mr. Chair, only one person online and not with her hand raised.
Thank you. Come forward, John. Thank you. So, chair update. It's probably a fool's errand, but like every other chair, I'm going to attempt to keep the meeting on track and try to get everybody out of here at a decent hour. It's exhausting for the select board, and certainly it interferes with the public's attendance if meetings go till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So to that point, we're going to be rigorously enforcing the 3-minute public comment period. I'm going to make sure that only Acton residents make comments unless they're a contractor or an employee of the town. We're going to ask for the full name and street address of anyone making comments. There are some situations where if it looks like a piece of business is not going to be controversial, I'm not going to specifically ask for public comment. Certainly, if folks have comments they'd like to make, they're certainly welcome to come up, but I'm not going to specifically solicit them. As noted with the previous comment, we will not engage in a dialogue during the public comment period. We value the comments from the public and we take them into consideration, but there will not be a response forthcoming immediately. I'm also asking my colleagues to try to keep their comments as brief as possible. It's a benefit to all of us if we can get through as quickly as possible. And for future meetings, I'm going to ask the town manager that if we have presentations by town staff or town contractors to come in, that they keep at least their initial presentations brief and to the point. I'd say about 15 minutes seems pretty reasonable unless it's something extraordinarily complex. I don't think anybody benefits watching somebody read their PowerPoint presentation page by page by page, especially since we've received most of those in our packets anyway. With those thoughts in mind, my hope is that we can get out of here at a decent hour. As far as any specific comments that I have to make, I would just make note of the fact that on Monday, May 26th, we have our annual Memorial Day Parade, which will step off at the Acton Boxborough High School at 10 a.m. Marching down Main Street, a brief ceremony at the Town Common, and then a longer ceremony at Woodlawn Cemetery. And we hope to be concluded by noontime with that. I know I will be there. I believe at least one other member of the Select Board, and perhaps the rest of my colleagues will be able to make it as well. Certainly, it's an important and significant event, and we hope folks will attend. The other item, and we'll see it in the posted agenda for our next meeting, but on Monday, June 2nd, we're going to have a formal amount of time set aside within the agenda for a listening session. People that have ideas for goals that you would recommend that we pursue in future years, please bring them forward. Certainly, what's more convincing is that if you can email them in advance to sb@actonma.gov. In advance, we actually have our goal-setting meeting on June 9th, so anytime before the 9th is great. Earlier is better, so that we'll have a chance to look at the list of recommended goals from the public. We use these to set our priorities for the next year. Mr. Manager, your report.
Good evening. Thank you. I just wanted to mention that today we started phase 2 of the pilot program for the Acton Fire and Ambulance Service. We're now operating out of 3 stations for the next few months, and we're going to see how that goes. The 3 stations are North Station, which is on Harris Street, the South Station, which is on School Street, and the West Acton Station, which is on Central Street. So the station over here in the center will remain unstaffed, and we'll be using it for storage and for training, but it'll remain unstaffed during this pilot period. And we encourage folks to provide comment if you have anything that you'd like to say about it. On that note, we have a survey that's been open for about a month, and we have over 300 responses, which is pretty good. But we'd like to get a few more if anyone's interested in providing their input. You don't have to take the whole survey. You can just answer 2 or 3 questions. If you get bored, you can sign off. It's not that long to begin with. We're going to keep it open for the end of this week. So if you haven't filled out the fire department survey, I'd encourage you to do so. And just two project updates. The Woodlawn Chapel is being, we have an accessible entrance being constructed there using primarily grant funds from the Mass Office of Disability, MOD. The cemetery trustees paid for the balance that was due on the project. It's going to provide an opportunity for everyone to access that beautiful chapel, and we look forward to sharing more news about that later this summer. And a project that Tom's been working on, but I'll give the update briefly, is you'll see a boom lift out here probably next week, or maybe even, hopefully not this week. Oh, tomorrow, okay. Tomorrow, the Community Preservation Committee and Town Meeting approved restoring the gutters on this building. Not a very glamorous project, but if next time you walk by the building, you'll notice that they're all rotted. They're mostly made of wood, and they need to be replaced. So that work starts tomorrow. So just in case you were wondering what they're doing up there.
Thank you. Comments from my colleagues? Alyssa.
Thank you. Just to announce, the Acton Water District has a representative who serves on the Water Resources Advisory Committee, and for a number of years that has been Matt Mostoller, the district manager. He will not be renewing his term ending in June and will be replaced by Corey Godfrey, the new deputy district manager. And speaking of the Water Resources Advisory Committee, they will be hosting a public forum on stormwater management in Acton and sustainable funding options. That's happening next week on Thursday, May 29th at 7 p.m. right here in room 204. Saturday, the 24th, in the Acton Memorial Library meeting room from 10 to 1, Green Acton is hosting another Fix-It clinic. And if you haven't attended, they are a lot of fun. You can bring appliances, you can bring clothing, you can bring electronics, and they have volunteer experts on hand to help you repair items to keep them out of the trash. So this time of year is a time when lots of organizations are calling for volunteers, and I saw that the farmers market is in need of volunteers for this farmers market season. So you can go to abfarmersmarket.org and find out information, or you can also visit their Facebook page. The Project Graduation is also looking for volunteers. So Project Graduation is an all-night substance-free celebratory event at the high school for our graduates from AB High School, and that's on June 6th. If you go to abprojectgrad.org, you can find information about volunteering. I've volunteered the last couple of years, and it's a lot of fun. I volunteer the shift before midnight because I just can't stay awake all night like those graduates can. There's also a forum happening this week, this Wednesday, here in room 204 at 7 p.m. It's an immigration forum, and that's going to be hosted by Representative Dan Cena. And there will be, in addition to Mr. Cena, an immigration attorney, a representative from MIRA, which is Massachusetts Immigrant and Refugee Advocacy Coalition, and also Police Chief Kogan. So 7 p.m. Wednesday night, and just in response to concerns that have been addressed at public comment and also in emails, we are engaged in exploration with staff, perhaps town council, our local delegation, the Healy administration, working on learning more and figuring out what we can do in terms of advocacy and education to protect all residents in town. So just wanted to share that we are working on exploring these issues to keep everybody safe.
Comments from Jim?
Three little things. Speaking of volunteers, the Land Stewardship Committee and other volunteers are working in May and June in particular on removing the invasive plant garlic mustard from Acton's conservation lands. If walking through the woods picking weeds out of the ground is something that appeals to you, as it does to me, let me know. I'm happy to find you a place to work. There's plenty, and we won't run out. Second one, so Dean and I have picked out a date for our first foray into the business of marking the monuments that mark our boundaries. We're going to start with a few bounds that are between us and Littleton, both at the formal corners where the boundary bends, as well as where roads pass through the boundary. We'll make a final decision, maybe the day before or the morning of, based on the weather. But if that's something that intrigues you, come on out. Let me know, and we'll get your name and your email or your phone, and we will contact you, and you can come along and notice where these markers are and witness the marking of them. And the last one, sorry, Dean, I just wanted to thank the Acton Exchange, and in particular reporter Greg Jarbo, for just an excellent comprehensive article about the raid that took place on Saturday, May 10th that people have been referring to here. We also now, at least for me, because of that article, know the names of the people that were taken, which was a missing piece that added to the mystery and terror of it all. So I recommend that people that want to know more go right to actonexchange.org and read the article.
Okay, thank you. So, noting the time, we have a series of public hearings we need to undertake. The first two involve replacement of gas lines. I'll read the notice for the first one. The Acton Select Board will hold a public hearing on May 19th, 2025 at 7:10 p.m. in the Francis Faulkner Hearing Room 204 at Acton Town Hall, 472 Main Street, and remotely by video and call-in on the application of National Grid, recommending the relay of approximately 3,180 feet of 4-inch coated steel 1930 and 15 feet of 4-inch coated steel 1987, with approximately 3,195 feet of 6-inch plastic in Central Street from existing 6-inch plastic 2022 and existing 4-inch plastic 1987 in Nashoba Road to existing 4-inch coated steel 1930 at the Elm Street, Central Street intersection. From a computer, enter in the link ID actonma.gov/meeting/SB, or from a telephone dial 646-876-9923 and enter in the webinar ID 503-918-785. Telephone users may dial *9 to request to speak after joining the meeting. Computer and app users may use the raise hand feature to request to speak. Do we have someone from National Grid here? Please come forward.
Good evening. National Grid respectfully requests your consent to install approximately 3,180 feet of 4-inch coated steel from 1930 and 15 feet of 4-inch coated steel from 1987, with approximately 3,195 feet of 6-inch plastic in Central Street from the existing 6-inch plastic dating back to 2022, and an existing 4-inch plastic dating back to 1987 in Nashoba Road to the existing 4-inch coated steel dating back to 1930 at Elm Street and Central Street in the intersection.
Thank you. I know my colleagues have had the opportunity to review all of the information, including the full permit, and conditions issued by our Department of Public Works. I have comments or questions? David?
Yes, thank you. Can you just tell me why you're replacing this main?
It's part of the bare steel replacement program, and it's to keep safety, reliability, integrity in the system, and to prevent leak. It's a leak-prone pipe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Jim?
Do we know what leaks have been reported along either of these lines and what grade the leaks are?
Yes. The town of Acton's leaks have been reduced greatly because the Waltham Yard has been proactive and gone ahead and even just fixed the basic leaks ahead of the required times. So in this instance, for 365 to 424 Central Street in Acton, there were 5 repaired leaks within the scope, 1 grade 1, 2 grade 2s, and 2 grade 3s. And then there are 5 active leaks within the scope, which are all grade 3s right now.
I'm sorry, was that all along Central Street?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's right, and that's the one we're talking about first? Okay. I think that's all the questions I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any comments from the public?
Hi, Karen Root Watkins from Strawberry Hill Road, and here representing Mothers Out Front Acton chapter. Unfortunately, we as part of the public don't know a lot of the details about the proposed gas main replacement, but we do call upon the Select Board and National Grid to look at alternatives to pipe replacement, and our reasons are as follows. First, cost. While we care about safety and we definitely care about the greenhouse gases released by methane leaks and the gas pipes, we are very concerned about the huge expense charged to ratepayers when the utilities choose pipe replacement over pipe repair. In many cases, it's possible to safely and efficiently repair the pipes and with significant savings to ratepayers. To quote James von Nostrand, the chairman of the Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities, in a talk last week, he said, "Our review has generally found that the utilities are not spending ratepayer funds wisely." And he adds that companies have over-relied on pipe replacement rather than repair or advanced leak technology, which can address leak-prone pipes at lower cost to customers. The second issue we're concerned about is fairness and the future cost burden on gas users as utilities invest in new gas infrastructure while the state is trying to transition off of fossil fuels to meet climate goals. It's possible that and very likely that the most vulnerable people with the fewest resources will be left on the system, which will become increasingly more expensive. To quote the Massachusetts Attorney General, "It is fundamentally unfair to charge ratepayers billions of dollars to prop up the gas system, which the Commonwealth works to decarbonize." And finally, Mothers Out Front thinks that there are other good options that exist. There are thoughtful and reasonable ways to move forward where we're using more renewable technologies. For example, the new networked geothermal system in Framingham, which I think at least one board member has visited. I know it's tougher for suburban areas that are less densely populated to work on this particular option, but other states are working with utilities to do more systemic neighborhood by neighborhood transition to electrification. And I know that Mothers Out Front here in Acton and across the state would love to work with municipalities and with National Grid to look at some of these options where National Grid could become a sort of thermal gas utility and help people transition to air source heat pumps and other more efficient forms of energy. That would help ratepayers a whole lot and create a more livable future for our children and our biosphere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tara again, and I agree with everything she said, and I urge you to not approve moving from a 4-inch to a 6-inch. That just encourages using more gas. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no other comments from the Select Board. I would entertain a motion.
I move to close the public hearing.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to close public hearing. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Public hearing is closed. I will entertain a motion regarding this application. David?
Mr. Chair, can I ask if will we have a chance to discuss before the motion or after the motion?
Let's get a motion and second it, and then we can discuss.
Okay, I move to approve the gas main replacement on Nashoba Road and Elm Street in Central Street.
Get a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion. David?
Yeah, this is tough because we definitely don't want to expand our natural gas infrastructure. But when we have pipes that are basically steel that are this old, I think that we're just asking for leaks, and natural gas leaks are a huge problem for the environment. I mean, it's exactly what we're trying to clear up. I mean, some of the things that Mothers Out Front mentioned, I mean, I completely agree with, but they're not an alternative in this time frame.
Thank you. Alyssa?
So I just have a question for our representative from National Grid. So I'm looking at the grades and just want to clarify for the public that grade 3 is significant. It's a large leak. But grade 3 SEI, standing for significant environmental impact, is one that is considered potentially explosive. So the grade 3 sounds bad, but they are not potentially explosive because they're not in a contained space or near the foundation of a building. So I guess I'd like to ask if there is a potential for repair for the 5 that you listed as grade 3, and also why the replacement of a 6-inch instead of the smaller pipe as a like. I understand we're replacing the steel with plastic, but why the larger size?
The larger size would be because the integrity, the pipe was put in 1930s. I'm sure there's been houses added to the street since then. And just to keep the integrity, this is not for growth. This is not for expanding. And it's just for the reliability and safety of the customers, that's all, because it's an old pipe.
And are these leaks a candidate for repair?
Well, there's 5 in that small scope of work on Central. So what happens is, once you go in and make a repair, you jostle the ground, you undermine it. So the next joint up starts leaking, and the next joint up starts leaking. So it's just easier and more cost-effective for National Grid to come in and just replace just the one chunk of pipe. It's approved and watched by your town engineering, the DPW. They give us the permit, they tell us how many police officers, what the conditions are when we work. So we're under the town's guidance at all times.
Thank you. Jim?
So 2 things. One is that if in this particular case, we're not actually increasing the size of the pipe, we're going from, I believe, there's a 4-inch connection at one end. So we're not increasing the size. I could be getting that wrong, but I'll double check. And although I am in favor of this particular change, I do agree that the lining technology is getting better and better for repairs. So you don't actually have to go out to each individual leak and cut it open. You can basically create a plastic liner inside the existing steel pipe. It's technology that is proven, is working, and as Karen mentioned, it provides a much smaller return on investment for the utilities, but it is much less expensive for the ratepayer. So I'm hoping that the DPU continues to work with the utilities to require this in more cases. Yeah, so that's all I have to say.
Thank you. David?
Jim, can you say why it's a smaller return on investment for the utility?
The rules of the gas replacement program provide different funding for replacement as opposed to repairs. And the funding for replacement is a remarkably better deal from the state.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll entertain them. I know we've got a motion and a second to approve this. Ready for a vote? All in favor of approving the replacement listed in this legal notice, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, 3 in favor, 2 abstentions. Approved. Thank you. You might as well stay up there. I'll read the next notice. The Acton Select Board will hold a public hearing on May 19th, 2025 at 7:15 p.m. in the Francis Faulkner Hearing Room 204 at Acton Town Hall, 472 Main Street, and remotely by video and call-in on the application of National Grid recommending the relay of approximately 1,205 feet of 2-inch coated steel 1930/1958 and approximately 15 feet of 2-inch plastic 2001-2017 with approximately 1,220 feet of 4-inch plastic in Arlington Street from existing 4-inch plastic 2001 and at 153 Arlington Street to existing 4-inch plastic 217 at 198 Arlington Street. Approximately 545 feet of 2-inch coated steel 1964 with approximately 545 feet of 2-inch plastic in Houghton Lane from Arlington Street to the end of Main at number 8 Houghton Lane, and approximately 260 feet of 2-inch coated steel 1930 with approximately 260 feet of 2-inch plastic in Elm Street from Arlington Street to existing 2-inch plastic 2021 at number 31 Elm Street. From a computer, enter in the link ID actonma.gov/meeting/SB, or from a telephone, dial 646-876-9923 and enter in the webinar ID 503-918-785. Telephone users may dial *9 to request to speak after joining the meeting. Computer and app users may use the raise hand feature to request to speak. Can you describe this operation as well, please?
Yes, National Grid respectfully requests the town of Acton to follow its recommendation of relaying approximately 1,205 feet of 2-inch coated steel dating back to 1930, 1958. Bare steel would be in there as well, and approximately 15 feet of 2-inch plastic dating back to 2001 and 2017, with approximately 1,220 feet of 4-inch plastic in Arlington Street from the existing 4-inch plastic from 2001 at house number 153 Arlington Street to the existing 4-inch plastic from 2017 at house number 198 Arlington Street, and approximately 545 feet of 2-inch coated steel from 1964 with approximately 545 feet of 2-inch plastic in Houghton Lane from Arlington Street to the end of Main at number 8 Houghton Lane, and approximately 260 feet of 2-inch coated steel dating back to 1930 with approximately 260 feet of 2-inch plastic in Elm Street from Arlington Street to the existing 2-inch plastic from 2021 at house number 31 Elm Street.
Thank you. Could you describe the condition of the pipes that you're attempting to replace?
Yes, so from 153 to 198 Arlington Street, 31 to 36 Elm Street, and in Acton, there are 7 repair leaks within this scope, 1 grade 1, 2 grade 2s, and 4 grade 3 leaks. And right now, at this particular moment, there are no leaks in that location. But given that we just did the 7 repairs, that's why the pipe was put in the bare steel main replacement program.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Melissa?
Can you describe on the other part of this replacement, on the rest of, is that Arlington and Houghton Lane, any repairs?
No, that's part of the scope of that, central to, in that job, in this project, those leaks.
So that will, okay, because I'm looking at the map, and it looks like the addresses that you gave for the 7 repairs is just the corner of Elm. So is the rest scheduled to be replaced just because of the age?
Yes, the age of the pipe,
Okay,
the
thank
condition
you.
of the pipe, yeah.
Okay.
David?
Yes, can you tell me if there were any leaks in the existing plastic pipe? So why would we be replacing the existing plastic pipe?
Because you don't want to have a break in the pipe. You want to make it all one cohesive.
Yes, but you can make a joint.
And that's, joints pose the risk for
Sure,
leaking.
but so I'm much more in favor of replacing the steel pipe. I mean, I think you'll never get the steel pipe not to leak, right? Because you repair it in one place, it's going to leak in another place. But that's not true of the existing plastic pipe, and the existing plastic pipe can be jointed with new plastic pipe to replace the steel pipe just fine. So I'm confused about replacing the existing plastic pipe. And the second thing I'd like to ask is, what kind of support will there be for the pipe when it crosses the bridge? Will the pipe be attached to the underside? I know there's some notes in here, but I'd like you to say how it's being done. Is the pipe being attached to the underside of the bridge?
There'll be test pits done for that, and right now, hold on one moment, please. I have my pictures here. We have photographs of it, and engineering, from what they can see, they'll be doing test pits out there to make sure that it is protected.
May I ask another?
Sure.
So, Mr. Manager, do you know if our engineering staff will assure the structural integrity that their design will be, have sufficient structure to be attached to the underside of the bridge, or however they're running it? So I take it from what I've read so far and things, the exact design of going under the bridge is not done. And I just want to make sure that who's responsible for the structural integrity of running under the bridge?
So that question was sent in today. I haven't had a chance to connect with the Department of Public Works on this specific process for approval, so I don't have an answer for you right now.
Is it correct to say that the, whatever the design is, it cannot proceed without the town engineer's approval?
That sounds good to me, yeah. I mean, it sounds right. I mean, we have a road opening permit as mentioned, and any road that the utility is going to be operating in, we need to know about, and we grant that permission under conditions, some of which were mentioned earlier. The bridge is, I assume it's our bridge, and the same process would be followed. If it's a state bridge, that's a different question.
My concern is a little bit, because the bridge is a little funky, right? It's layered stone. And so, you know, I just want to make sure that, obviously, that it's done properly and in a, you know, a way that is not going to be risking a leak because of movement of the bridge or something else. You know, cars passing over the bridge or whatever. So I'll just summarize for me. I'm still questioning why we need to replace the plastic pipe, but I'm, like the last one, I think you're never going to fix the leaks in a steel pipe. And we just can't shut off the steel pipe. I mean, we just can't say no more gas can pass through an existing pipe. So I'm in favor of replacing the steel pipe. I'm not in favor of replacing the plastic pipe.
Thank you. Jim?
So this is part of this wonderful set of consonants in a row, BSMNRPL, which I assume has something to do with bare steel replacement. Is that what BSMNRPL means?
Yes.
Okay. If this is a bare steel program, how come we're replacing coated steel, which I thought was more reliable than the old bare steel?
The coated steel is from the 1960s as well, and corrosion can go in, water can infiltrate from bare steel into the main as well. So they just want to keep everybody safe.
Okay. I guess it's just a question about which program will pay for it, and is it all right for the bare steel program to pay for the replacement of coated steel?
Yes.
Great. So I want to correct myself from the previous comment. This one is like to like on the sizes. It's the previous one that always goes from 4 inches to 6 inches. And I was under the impression that the gas system program that the utilities operate under, the GSEP, doesn't allow the replacement of, a one-size pipe with a larger pipe. So can you help me understand how that program works and whether it does allow that?
Are you asking about the previous one?
Yeah.
So when it switched from 2 to 4 inch, it would be just for reliability.
Okay.
The existing reliability. I mean, the pipe was put in the ground in the 1930s. I mean, I understand this is the country up here, but I'm sure houses have been built since then. And services, we don't want it to fall short. We don't want it to have leaks. We don't want service interruption to existing people. That one before, even though the pipe size increased, it has nothing to do with adding on capacity for new residents.
Okay. And just in response to my colleague, Mr. Martin, eventually, gas will not flow through the pipes, at least by state law. We get to that point by 2050. And so part of why the DPU is working differently with the utilities now over the last couple of years, as court cases have made clear that these dates actually are legally binding and that they're legally binding by sector. So we can't, at some point, we have to stop funding the replacement of pipes and find alternatives. I understand we're not going to figure that out tonight, but it's an ongoing issue with gas system replacements that, we have some 25 years. And if we're putting investments that, assume, that those things are going to be operating and being paid for by customers for 50 years, they're not. Thanks.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing. Yep. Go ahead.
And I agree with what she's about to tell you. So I like the idea of conditioning it upon the engineer's approval. I think that that's a good thing to do. I feel like the engineer should also be prioritizing these replacements. Why do we let a corporation come and put in what they want and then us just, oh, well, you ask for, is this a high priority? And then the applicant tells you, well, yes, it's the best priority. I don't understand why we ever ask the applicant for answers and believe them unless it's in writing and conditioned upon their answer. So too many times in the planning board, for example, will say, oh, did the Board of Health approve this? And the applicant says, well, sure they did. And then the planning board says, oh, I guess it's okay then. Well, nobody ever checks. So I would like very much if they say it's not for growth, that we condition it upon no growth, no added homes, no added lines, whatever. And I think, Jim, please check your numbers because the last one was an increase. I believe this one is increased from 2 to 4. At least that's what I heard when she says what she wants to do, what she's required by law, and then she said from 2 to 4. So unless I'm hearing incorrectly, I hope that you condition this upon not increasing the size unless it's conditioned upon not having any growth so that then the public watchdogs can watch and see if there's any growth, okay? So you guys are the stopping point. You guys are the guys that check the warrants. Check the documentation and put the conditions on. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you approach the podium, are you going to tell us anything that we didn't hear for the last hearing? Very briefly, thank you.
Just to clarify, so we're really for clean energy, Mothers Out Front is. And the problem here isn't that we're fixing pipes. Pipes need, we want a safe system, but it's the cost. And the cost is going to pipes instead of toward clean energy. So just the cost of replacing pipes has more than doubled in the last decade to $3.5 million per mile. And so this year, it's projected that pipe replacement will cost $880 million in the state, and it's just going to get more. So just to leave you with that thought.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded to close the hearing. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, hearing is closed. I'll entertain a motion to approve this application. David?
Can I just ask my colleagues questions? Would all the members be interested in a motion which allowed them to replace the coated steel pipe, but not the existing plastic pipe?
Yes.
No.
So, Mr. Chair, what would you like me to do? Make that motion and let it be voted on, or what would you like to do?
Certainly you can make the motion, and I will, we can each address our own concerns.
Okay, I would like to move that, that the National Grid be allowed to replace the coated steel portions of the existing Arlington Street main with a new plastic pipe, but that the plastic should remain, the existing plastic should remain as is, and that the crossing of the Fort Pond Brook Bridge be inspected and improved, or both the design and construction be inspected and approved by the town engineer.
Second.
Can we just have a little discussion?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that we're in a tough position, and I know that we want to move away from fossil fuels, and that's a goal, but I see this as just a fix until we do that. And I guess any minor fix is better than new infrastructure. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Alyssa?
So right now, I'm in a position of being asked to take your word that having joints in this piping is acceptable, and I don't know enough about it to judge that. Obviously, if we are replacing pipe, but not all the pipe in town, there will be a couple of joints at one end and the other end. However, it may be much more problematic to have several joints within the replacement part. I abstained at the last hearing, but I was going to vote in favor of this one because we're super close to a school where there are 1,200 students, pre-K to 6, every single day, Monday through Friday. So I'm not comfortable at this point. I don't have enough information to know whether what you have proposed with your motion is an acceptable option.
So I'm pretty much with Alyssa on this one. Nobody here on this board is an expert on gas infrastructure. We can read about it, we can be hobbyists about it, but National Grid does it for business. We can argue about, what their profit margins might or might not be, but I'm concerned with two things. One is the safety of the public. People are always constantly complaining about natural gas leaks. Our friends from Mothers Out Front have been very vocal about that because we can find gas leaks throughout the town. I think if the National Grid in their judgment feels that this is a replacement that's a wise decision to make from a point of view of safety and the environment, I think it's important to approve that. They are a regulated utility. The Department of Public Utilities does monitor this. I don't want to sit here, a select board meeting, acting from not having proper information, proper background. Our engineering department are great civil engineers, but they're not experts on pipeline safety and pipeline construction as well. Reading through the application packet, it appeared to me that there's going to be an attempt to see if there's enough cover material to put the gas line on top of the granite slabs and in the roadway, which I believe is the present situation. I just don't think that it's proper duty of the select board to try to re-engineer these things during public hearing. So I will vote against your motion, David. I think that we should approve what they've asked for because they're the experts. I think the safety of the system and the reliability, I know folks, some members of the board here might not care for natural gas, but many of our homeowners are very dependent upon it for their cooking needs and their heating needs. And I don't want to do anything that's going to interfere with their reliability of that system. David.
Yeah, I respect everybody else's opinion here. The reason I made the motion I made is because the most important thing to me here is the controlling of leaks. Leaks are much less of a problem in plastic pipe than they are in old steel pipes. The pipes have to be able to be jointed. I agree that the more times that they're jointed, there's a more of a chance of a leak, but they, these pipes come in sections that fit on a truck, so they have to be joined with other sections. So, and the gas company knows how to do that reliably. Anyway, but I'm just more, I agree with some of the points made that by folks that, we don't want to continue to evolve our natural gas infrastructure. And for me, again, the only important thing is the leaks. We don't want the leaks, both for safety reasons and environmental reasons.
Jim?
So it seems like there's some technical questions that we're not sure of the answers to, both about the safety of joints and plastic pipes, and I have some concerns about the size of the replacement. So one appropriate action would be to simply, not have a vote tonight, continue our deliberation till a future hearing, and request that, the gas company get us some answers in writing with some, references so that we can understand the issues involved and resolve them appropriately.
Okay. David, would you repeat your motion, please?
Yes, I moved it to allow National Grid to replace the coated steel portions of the gas main on Arlington Street, but not the existing plastic portions, and that the town engineer be required to approve both the design and installation of the bridge crossing at Fort Pine Brook.
Thank you. So we've got a motion, and it's been seconded. I'll call for a vote. All in favor of the motion from Mr. Martin, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Nay?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion has failed. David.
Mr. Chair, can we, if we don't make a decision tonight, can we reopen the public hearing at a future date? Or now that we've closed it, can we not reopen it?
Defer to the manager on that.
I think it's closed. Yeah, I think it could have been continued to a future meeting. But that was only 5 minutes ago, so you could reconsider your vote and reopen it. But I don't know, I think.
So we could reconsider the vote, although I think it was unanimous, so there's nobody to vote to reconsider it. So, but given it the way it is, I would ask that maybe Jim try to get some, because he's had a little bit of a list, get some answers for the board for a future meeting, and that we pick up the decision at that time. Just leave the hearing closed.
Jim.
I guess I'm confused about the meaning of a closed hearing, because that would be my instinct too, would be to reopen it. And we have done that in the past in order to correct, administrative mistakes. I'm not sure this counts as one, but we certainly have closed hearings and then opened them up at the same meeting. Because for me to get data that we could actually analyze together, I would certainly want to ask the gas company, and I'd want their answers to be, on the record for us. So I think that means they're submitting testimony, and so it has to be an open hearing.
Well, if the chair will allow it, then I'd move, and if you would like me to do so, I'll move to reopen the public hearing in the hopes that we continue it for a future date.
We've taken a vote to close the hearing, and I will provide a motion myself. I move that we approve the application of National Grid as written in the notice of hearing. Get a second?
I second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. All in favor of approving the application as submitted, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
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 Okay. So we will. Would somebody make a motion to reopen the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to reopen the public hearing.
Aye.
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 Nay? Okay, we've reopened.
Hi, I'm sorry. I just want to let you know that National Grid cannot get a permit without your town engineers scrutinizing our plans, following us through. They're on the job site all the time, working with our supervisors. So the grant is permission to apply for a permit. And that being said, it is in a school district, so, and it's replacing the same size pipe that's there. I know you're concerned with plastic, and I brought that back as a note, like, if that's a possibility to do that. But over the school vacation, like National Grid would want to schedule it and try to work it. As it gets prolonged out, National Grid will, won't be able to have time to do that. I'm just adding that to the record.
Thank you.
And your
Alyssa?
questions were answered. I answered them all, the ones that you sent me.
Oh.
Counselor Grant, Board of Selectmen Grant. The ones that you sent to, I think it's to Lisa, that you had sent some questions, but we had reviewed them tonight, so that's why I didn't know if you had any more. This.
Alyssa?
So I'm wondering if you can come back and when we hold another hearing to vote on the approval with some answers about whether or not it would be feasible to replace only the metal parts. Since David's pointed out that the pipe sections have to be jointed together, will it be a possibility to go that route, to sort of have a new plan for just replacing the coated steel rather than also the plastic?
For engineering to draw up a whole new plan to leave the existing plastic in place and then add the new plastic to it?
I guess it's not really a new plan so much as it is only doing parts of the plan, whether or not it's a viable option to replace only, sort of
The
to do
bare
half the plan, right? So the plan as it exists now is to replace the coated steel and also the plastic sections that are from 2001 and 2017, not very old. So I understand about reliability and you want, a smooth piping, but if they are going to be sections that are jointed together anyway, because the pipes are as long as a truck, then could we have some information about whether or not the gas company feels that that would be a viable option?
I will do that, but just so that you know, say the pipe from 2017 that was replaced, it was probably just a leak in the main. So they only cut in a small section of pipe. So now you've compromised the pipe probably within maybe a 3-foot run with 2 joints instead of having a full length. So that's just the,
Okay.
why we would replace it. We wouldn't want to leave a little piece in the, it's not like that the street's been replaced with plastic or, 20 houses have been replaced, and there's, you know, a 200-foot run with this. It's not that way. The plastic that's been put in is just to repair gas leaks in the past on those dates.
Can I make a motion? Yep. All right, so I move to approve the application for the pipe replacements at Arlington, Elm, and Houghton Lane, and Central.
Point of order, we'd have to reclose the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
Get a second?
No, I had another question, so I didn't want to quite close it.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and second to close the hearing.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, public hearing is closed. Motion?
I move to approve the replacement of the pipes on Elm, Arlington, Houghton, and Central.
Second.
Second?
Second.
Second? Okay. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
I'll also abstain.
Okay. Thank you. You have an approval.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Thank you. All right. One more hearing. The Acton Select Board will hold a public hearing on May 19th, 2025 at 7:20 PM in the Francis Faulkner Hearing Room 204 at the Town Hall, 472 Main Street, Acton, and virtually under Section 140 of the Massachusetts General Laws on the application of Daniel Govan, DBA Acton Seafood Company, located at 541 Massachusetts Avenue, Acton, for a common vitula license and a carry-in license. Remote participants may view the hearing at www.actonma./sb or from a telephone dial 646-876-9923 and enter webinar ID number 503-918-785. Telephone users may dial *9 to request to speak. Computer and app users may use the raise hand feature to request to speak. Is the applicant present? Please come forward.
Good evening.
Good evening. Tell us a little bit about the nature of your application.
Okay, so a little bit of history. Myself and my partner Dean over there in the bright hat, we were working for John LeBlundo, Acton Twin Seafood, for about 14 years now. He had tried to sell last year, and a couple of those offers didn't work out for him, so we made a deal with him. We sat down with him, figured, it'd be better if people that were already running the establishment continued to take over the business, with the exception of carrying the name Twin, because of course he was once in partnership with his brother in West Concord, and that was a no-go. So we decided, keep it simple, we're gonna change it to Acton Seafood. We did have a pouring license under Twin Seafood. We did decide that we thought it would be better because we originally, back in 2011, when they started, had a carry-in license, and the community kind of liked that. John decided he wanted to go with more of how can we profit off of this. We were going back and forth on whether we wanted to actually continue to keep that pouring license or go back to where it originally had with a carry-in license. And we ultimately decided that we thought that the carry-in license was a little more unique, and people did like the fact that they could come there and just stop at a store and grab what they wanted. So that's what we decided to do. So basically, again, we've been working for him since 2011. or 2012, excuse me. And we've been through all of the different scenarios. There was one incident under Twin Seafood, I think it was somewhere around 2020 or 2021, where someone came in and purchased alcohol under an employee that allowed a minor to buy alcohol there. We have a very strong tolerance against that. He actually was let go right after that. All of our employees that are there do have our tip certifications. They've just been recently renewed. And then, of course, upon approval of this carrying license, we're going to make sure that every employee there also has certification so that we can ensure that it's safe and that we're controlling everything the way it should be. So.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? Alyssa?
So first of all, congratulations. I'm so happy for all of you. It's great to see workers, employees be able to take over the business. And we frequent the establishment, so I'm very happy that it will still be there.
Thank you.
I wonder if you can just describe for me and for the public what your method will be for ensuring that everybody who is bringing in and consuming the alcohol has their IDs checked. Because I know that especially now during the summer, there's the outdoor dining area. I'm assuming you're not necessarily going to be waiting on the table. Some people may order at the counter and carry it to their table. So just, can you let us know how you'll ensure that everybody has ID?
Sure, yes. In the past, people have just come, they've selected their table, they brought, like when we did have a carry-in, they would come up on the deck, select their table, bring whatever, then they come in and order. And we wouldn't really know who was bringing what in. We would actually, in fact, we go out on the deck quite often to question if everything is okay, if they need anything. So we do notice who is consuming alcohol on the deck. We've always done that. We've always made sure to make sure people are being carded to make sure that they're of age. But I think this time what we want to try to do is to ensure people that if they are bringing alcohol into the place, that they have to come in through the front door and bring it in up to the counter before they're allowed to go out and find a seat. That will really start to narrow the opportunity for people slipping by and maybe getting a few swigs of alcohol with us actually not knowing. So we want to make sure people are coming through the front door, coming up to the counter, alerting us, knowing that they are bringing something in and we have to check it as well as their IDs. And we don't have table service to people come in, they order, you've been there before, and then you go down and sit down. We actually, we have upgraded quite a bit of stuff there, and one of the things we've done is we brought in a point-of-sale system also. And with that point-of-sale system, we've also been given a handheld device, which is great for us because we get to go out on the deck with that to not only, look around, make sure everybody's good, we keep an eye on people that are drinking, and that also helps all of our employees to be able to go out there and say if they want anything else. So it kind of ups the table service game a little bit more than it was, which I think is going to be a benefit for the business. That'll also keep our eyes on things a little more too.
Other questions? David?
Thank you. Will you also be selling seafood to be cooked at home?
It's a fresh market too.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I just wanted to congratulate you, and I'm glad that chowder's not going anywhere. It's my favorite.
It's going to my house. I move to approve the common vittler and carry-in alcoholic beverage license, malt and wine for Acton Seafood Company at 541 Mass Ave.
Second.
Okay, approved and seconded. All in favor of this application, of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So, new and special business. Introduce Patricia Costa, Director of Economic Development. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, yes. So exciting new business in town. New town official that is going to work hard to bring more new business to town. I'd like to introduce to the board and the public Patricia Costa. Patricia started here on April 6th, I think, which was a Friday, her very first day, or a Monday, and she attended 3 ribbon cuttings her first day. And she's been off and running since that point, and I look forward to having Patricia talk a little bit about what she's been up to, and welcome.
Well, good evening, Chair Dean Charter, Co-Chair Alyssa, Nicole, members of the Select Board, Town Manager, Assistant Town Manager, members of the Planning Board joining us tonight, and members of the public. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. My name is Patricia Costa, and it has been just over a month since I stepped into the role of Economic Development Director for the town of Acton. I'm grateful and honored to be here. I was born in Brazil and spent most of my professional life living and working in my home country as a college professor. In that role, I had the privilege of guiding undergraduate students through the development of business plans, market analysis, and the study of macroeconomic trends. I also worked closely with municipalities, helping students apply their knowledge to real-world challenges through academic extension programs that promoted meaningful changes in neighborhoods, villages, and towns. 8 years ago, I moved to the United States, and since then, I've had the opportunity to serve as a visiting research scholar at UMass Boston, work with the city of Revere, and more recently with the city of Framingham, before joining the Office of Economic Development here in Acton. Over the past few weeks, I've focused on continuing several initiatives started under my predecessor, while also engaging directly with our local business community. I've been meeting with business owners one-on-one to better understand their needs, their plans, and their expectations. These conversations are already beginning to shape a broader understanding of Acton's economic scene and the unique opportunities for business owners to explore and for the Office of Economic Development to promote. When I say economic scene, I refer not only to the businesses that call Acton home, but to the residents who live, work, commute, and shop here. Economic development is not just about dollars or data, it's about people. And that's a responsibility I carry with seriousness and pride. It's about how we coordinate efforts between departments, align with community goals, and support an environment that enhances everyday life, working opportunities, commuting patterns, and housing options. My work so far would not have been possible without the collaboration and the support of my colleagues and the insight and dedication of the members of the Economic Development Committee. Together, they have played a crucial role in every step of the process, and I truly appreciate their contributions. One key initiative that I have resumed is the Cultural Arts Strategic Plan, in partnership with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, MAPC. This project will result in a comprehensive inventory of Acton's arts and cultural assets, and it is expected to be completed by the end of this calendar year. I also initiated conversations with the U.S. Small Business Administration, the Supplier Diversity Office, and SCORE, to organize the first brunch with business owners, which will be held right here at Town Hall on June 11. This event aims to create a space for business owners to network, connect with key partners, and learn about available technical and financial resources, including free mentoring and the process for obtaining minority business certification. Beyond that, I've conducted site visits to manufacturing plants, small and large retail stores, and met with key local organizations. And these visits are essential because there is a part of municipal work that we can't transfer from town to town. It is the unique and often personal set of details that define a place, like the menu at the restaurant down the street, the story behind the local shop, or the name and the dreams of a small business owner. With that in mind, I'd like to extend a few invitations. This Friday, May 23rd, I would like the community to join us for the unveiling of a new mural painting at Acton Pharmacy. It's a beautiful piece of public art that will greet every commuter passing through the Fitchburg line, showcasing the richness of Acton's art, history, and culture. I also encourage you to engage with the Economic Development Strategic Plan when the draft is released on the town's website. Public feedback is a critical part of the process, and we welcome your comments. The presentation of the plan's final draft and the recommendations is scheduled for June 3rd. And of course, I hope you register for the brunch with business owners on June 11th, whether to connect or learn about resources available to businesses. And above all, I want to invite you, board members, town officials, residents, and business owners to reach out to me, share your perceptions, your hopes, and your plans that intersect with Acton's economy. Because to continue achieving great results as a town, each singular part truly matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Thank you, Patricia. We're so happy you're here and you hit the ground running.
Alyssa?
Thank you for coming tonight and introducing yourself to us and to the public. I'm super happy to hear that you're relaunching the arts and culture inventory in town. And I mean, it's super important. I love to hear you say that it's not all about dollars, it's about people. So I wonder if there's opportunity to outreach and network with people who aren't really businesses, like organizations and individuals. So our artists, organizations like the Historical Society and Ironwork Farm. The Discovery Museum is a cultural institution, but it's also a business, so I'm sure that they're here when we have those networking and brunches and things like that. But there are probably lots of organizations like the Acton Boxbury United Way, et cetera, who we might roll into that effort.
Certainly, my perception of economic development actually encompasses it all stakeholders, organizations, nonprofit organizations, residents, artists, and I've had the chance to start connecting to them all, and I intend to keep on working with all the pieces that make up for the economic scene.
Jim?
Welcome here, and thanks for your introduction. It was really informative. One thing I forgot to write down, though, is when is the event? I know the event at Acton Pharmacy is May 23rd, but what time of day?
It's at 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Yes.
I can be there. Thank you.
I'll just say, I had the opportunity to accompany Patricia and our Health and Human Services Director and our DEI Director on a tour of Hearts Corporation today. It was very informative. And one of the interesting things, a number of us have toured through that facility in the past, but it brought it forward once again, what an interesting company that is. And very significantly, they've got a wall with the flags of the home countries of all the folks that work there, and I think they're employing a variety of recent and not recent immigrants from about 25 countries. So that was heartwarming, and it was very informative that we do have such a diverse workforce that commutes into Acton every day. So thank you for helping me make that introduction.
Yeah, and thank you for facilitating that first contact with Hearts. It was valuable.
Any other questions? Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7 on new and special business, joint meeting with planning board to review additional public comment and approve housing production plan. Could have the members of the planning board come forward. We've got some room for you. I know you have to convene your meeting.
Yes, so hi, sorry, just getting gathered here. Thanks for having us again. Good to see you all. I'm here tonight with the planning board, opening up our part in our joint meeting with the select board. We have Pat, Sam, Michaela, and myself, John Capetta, as the chair. So I move to open up the meeting. Thank you.
Yes, you can lead off, Kristen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So at the last meeting, the planning board and select board was hoping to leave the public comment period open for another week. Let's see, what I thought we could do tonight was go over some of the updates to the plan that the select board and planning board have made at the last meeting, just to quickly go over how they've been incorporated into the plan, and then discuss the comments that are in front of you tonight that we've received. Based on the last email from our consultant, it appears that we have received 3 additional comments, which are in front of you printed out. So first off, I can kind of go quickly over the comments that we heard to make sure that we captured them correctly. I think there were some very easy ones, inter to intra municipal meetings. We've also captured the modification of goal 2 to provide clarity that we're looking to encourage diversity of households, primarily for underserved, those that are underserved by the current market. And then goal 8, making clear that we're looking at both deed restricted as well as naturally affordable units. Modifying strategy 2 to clarify that any database of land in Acton for housing opportunities would be based off of publicly available data, so we're not going out to look for anything that's not publicly accessible or private information. And then throughout the document, noting wastewater solutions rather than just sewer, so that it's clear that there are other tools and possibly future solutions that are not just sewer. Noting that deed restricting ADUs is an option that owners could explore, adding the Barnstable example as a potential option that individuals may seek. And also looking to further advertise community resources to try to elevate programs such as Habitat for Humanity's program that unrestricted households, so homeowners that don't have deed restricted households but may be qualified households, to tap into those resources for home repairs. And then expanding strategy 22 to, this was the one about having the annual housing roundtable, by adding a community engagement component to help tackle the many strategies and decide what makes the most sense to tackle first, or when and by whom, and inviting guest speakers.
The other item was just clarifying scenic vistas, so adding the word before it, existing scenic vistas, so that it's clear that we're not talking about cutting, but rather if there's an existing scenic vista, that could be preserved. And then based on the emails that we've received, in summary, they are in front of you tonight, the Acton Water District provided comments, all which align with existing goals and strategies and can easily be incorporated to really enhance collaboration in a lot of these efforts. They talk about bringing in Acton Water District and even Concord's Water District because of the many properties that are served along Great Road. It would help to have more of that robust conversation together. We've also received a comment from June Leslie asking for more details in how the plan supports residents that have been in Acton for a long time who own their home outright, that wish to age in place but struggle with increased real estate taxes. Although this plan does not focus on lowering real estate taxes for individuals who own their home outright, it does include goals and strategies to assist individuals with aging in place, primarily in Goal 1, and very specifically in Strategy 20. Lastly, we received a comment from Ann Chang that was supportive of the goals and strategies that elevate wastewater solutions.
Thank you. We'll start with any questions from the Select Board. Jim?
Just a logistical question. The updated HPP that you're referring to, is that now in our packets? I think I looked at it at one point and it was still the old one.
No, it has not been updated in your packet. We would include any additional public comment that came in that the board may want to consider, and then we would package it up.
Okay,
together.
and then just a quick follow-up. I made my little list trying to remember what I had said at the meeting, and you've covered all of them, so I'm really happy that you've been able to make those changes.
Thank you. Other comments? Alyssa?
Thank you very much for keeping the public comment period open for another week. I think it was very valuable to get additional comments. Most especially, I think, not to downplay anybody's input, but most especially the comments from the Water District. So I heard you mention that you'll be adding the district and Concord Public Works into the partners, but I'm also curious about their comment to be included as a partner in improving water efficiency in aging housing units, and also sort of expanding the focus on Great Road, just because of the complexity of wastewater needs and the way wastewater is managed there, as well as the public wells in that corridor. And finally, an acknowledgement in Goal 4 of the minimum water efficiency requirements to be added to the statement. So are those changes going to be incorporated as well?
Yes, I think we can fit each one of them actually into a specific place.
It's nice that they told you
Yeah.
where to put
Yes,
them.
yeah, and
Okay,
I would agree
great.
with what they suggested.
Great, thank you.
Other comments from the Select Board? No? Planning Board?
Yeah, no, not for me at the moment, but yes, thanks for extending that time period for us all, and we got a few more things to consider, and am I reading this right, that that's what it means when it says from Matt exactly how to fit it into the plan? Yeah, that I like that efficiency. But
Okay, comments from the public?
I'm quick and I'm going to be brief. Janet Adachi, 2 Simon Hapgood Lane. I am here in part as a representative, as chairman of the Acton Community Housing Corporation. I also have a few comments toward the end that are really my own perspective, don't have the blessing of the committee because I didn't have time to draft something for them to approve. So The Acton Community Housing Corporation has been involved in and supportive of the idea of a housing production plan from the outset, which I think was, the first one was 2015, and every subsequent update, 2020 and now 2025. I would like to thank the Select Board and Planning Board for agreeing or saying that we should have an additional or extended comment period for the public. I did listen to your meeting a week ago, and I thought I'd never do that again. But I appreciate the extended time because until I took the week to look at the detailed plan, I hadn't really reviewed it carefully. My two remarks that are more my perspective, my observations are, one, the 2025 Housing Production Plan is an aspirational document. It's important to remember that. It's got broad goals and implementation strategies, and the aim is not really simply to do everything in the plan exactly as laid out, but to use that information as guidance for whatever the town, and including ACHC, does. And as other people have noted, this plan does not change the existing state laws and local laws with regard to, say, things like water supply and wastewater treatment. Those have to be complied with. I think there might have been some thought from the joint meeting a week ago that those were going to be overridden, but it's covered in the plan. Second thing is this housing production plan comes at an interesting time for Acton because you have a newly adopted Habitat for All zoning bylaw, you have recently adopted MBTA community zoning bylaw, and you also have a newly updated ADU provision. And the next 5 years, when this plan is going to be in effect, will be a good time for the community to see how those things will all work. But ACHC respectfully requests that the Select Board and the Planning Board approve this new plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob Van Meter, 2 Half Moon Hill, and I joined as a member of ACHC's board in voting to support this, but I wanted to make a couple of additional comments. And I share Janet's view that these are aspirational goals and that there's a lot going on right now. Goal 6 calls for increasing capacity to implement housing initiatives through enhanced local and regional coordination and community input outreach. I want to say, as a longtime member of the ACHC board, we have never had support from the planning department. And I would like to see going forward one of the planning staff assigned to ACHC. I think that would be very valuable in terms of increasing our capacity to initiate and make positive change in housing in Acton. We've had, occasional support from RHSO, but we, unlike many town boards and committees, we don't have any town staff that kind of support our work. And I'd like to see that happen going forward. I think that would be helpful. And finally, I know that ADUs are referenced in the overall plan, but I thought we might want to consider adding a 10th overarching goal of implementing accessory dwelling unit legislation over the course of the next plan, figuring out ways that we can overcome the barriers to ADU development by providing technical assistance to homeowners and maybe considering utilization of town resources to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, June Leslie from 23 Mohican Road. I want to thank Fran Arsenal for correcting me today on my post in the Community Acton Forum, Community Forum Acton, whatever. And she helped me understand that the HPP stood for Housing Production Plan and not, as I listed it, as a Housing Protection Plan. My error. However, regarding the production plan, I'm wondering if someone could help me understand better if it's for already existing subsidized housing in development, or does it also include repairing? And is there any percentage of this plan going to address non-subsidized current housing? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Kristen, would you like to address that?
So the housing production plan is a community's 5-year plan to help it outline how it wants to achieve its housing goals. It's set forth by the state under Chapter 40B, actually, and it allows the community to be proactive about its housing needs. It talks about hitting a minimum threshold if you're under 10% deed-restricted units as a production goal, and making sure that basically you're at that 10% minimum. Acton is above the 10% minimum, so one of the goals that is being brought forward is to maintain that 10%, but also look at other needs of the community, one of them being helping people age in place and looking at different resources that individuals or families can tap into in order to do that. But it's also looking at various needs of housing throughout the entire town for everyone and establishing goals and strategies to keep that. But that 10% is always moving, so as market rate homes are being constructed, it fluctuates, and so it's always trying to keep up with that. But I think I mentioned at the last meeting, it's important to keep in mind that that 10% is including any 40B project that is a rental 40B project. It's including all of the units, even those that are not deed-restricted. So it's not a really true indication of how many affordable deed-restricted units are there, even though rentals can be more affordable because you don't need a down payment for a mortgage. But does that answer it?
Thank you.
Tara, again, and thank you so much. I think this has been a great week. I wasn't able to get a lot of people to comment. But if the EDC plan, thank you for the date. We anticipate when the date is, then we know the clock starts, right? So if you want public input, it's helpful to know when that will be. So thank you for that. I also want to say that the production plan also includes conversions of existing housing to become subsidized or deed restricted forever. So the production, the concept of producing isn't just new building, it's making more units available to people who need it the most. So thank you for all of the feedback. I sense a greater percentage of resources going toward protecting, I loved her typo, I couldn't have planned it better, but that more of the resources go to protecting existing housing and protecting existing tenants. And so I hope that you actually decide to add into the plan that a certain percentage of resources, staff time, et cetera, subsidies go to protecting the most vulnerable. Because I fear that not enough of it is about the workers in the shops. There are the workers in the executive commuting type people who don't need that much help, folks. So I'm really hoping that that you really concentrate on that. And I love that you changed or are talking about changing the goals, the language. Language is important to focus on the people who are most vulnerable here. I hope that becomes an EDC priority. To the people in the shops, the people that are mowing the lawns and bagging the groceries. You know what I mean? Like the people that are here now that are scared and struggling because they can't pay their rent, the deed restricted ADUs, okay, and conversions. I didn't see much in there about conversions of big, huge houses, lots of empty rooms that can be converted into 2 or 3 units. I got 1 minute left? Excellent. So I was just almost done, but now I'm going off back again. You can't dictate a lot in this plan, but you sure as heck can say to town manager, you want a greater percentage focusing on the most vulnerable as opposed to the future, maybe somebody that might afford something someday, and focus more on the people that are here that are struggling. And the senior tax relief is a great place to start. It doesn't have to be always in HPP. It can be to increase the minimum The $40,000 a year is the maximum that you can get tax relief from the town of Acton, senior tax relief. Why is that not 80 or 100,000? If 80 or 100,000 is the minimum income to get involved in your new building programs, why can't we at least have the senior tax relief program be up to 80 or $100,000 a year? We could give them all that relief, give them free taxes, and then we get the deed restricted unit at the end. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Melissa?
So I forgot to mention, this is one thing that I wanted to highlight for those who are listening, and there's only 4 people watching on YouTube and only 1 person online, but maybe somebody will watch the recording. One statistic that really leapt out at me in this new updated housing production plan is that in the last 10 years, the number of households that are making $200,000 or more has doubled. So that was just something that really struck me as maybe something we should pay attention to. Like what are we doing and how can we make sure that we protect folks that are not making that much money?
Thank you. Any other comments from either of the boards?
I just have one quick question for Kristen, if you don't mind, and it's just I was curious, how many ADUs do we have in town? Do you know off the top of your head?
I
You
don't.
don't?
But
Okay, I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
We'll work on getting that for you.
Yeah.
We actually, with our new OpenGov system, we have a better way of tracking it.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to be able to get better information in
Yeah.
the next few years. The state's also looking for us to like report on that more, so.
Cool.
Not
Thank you.
yet, but.
Sorry.
Thank you. At this point, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the housing production plan.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments from the select board? Jim?
It goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. This means approving the plan as amended, as we've heard changes that are going to be made, because they're all great changes. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor of adopting the amended plan, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, I'll bounce it to planning board.
At this point, I'll take a motion as well for supporting and voting to support the plan.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we join the Select Board in their approval of this housing production plan for 2025.
Seconded.
Okay, motion and seconded, I heard. Comments, final comments before we vote?
I too am pleased that we had an additional week to comment and that we have been able to incorporate some of those comments into the production plan as it stands now. Thank you.
Okay, so,
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
I'd just like to follow up on Michaela's comment, which I agree with. I hope that somehow we can capture these in an organized way so that we can reflect on them in a year when we have this powwow to talk about where we all are, because we need to keep the public's interests as part of ours.
Here, here, well said, Pat, in my opinion. Thank you. All right, so, motion and seconded. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
I heard 4, I myself.
You should have heard 3 and then you.
3 and, right, well, yeah. Even with one bad ear, yeah, it's pretty good. All right, so 4-0, planning board vote to support. Thank you.
And I'd like to thank the planning board for their diligence in coming back and going through this again, and certainly thank the planning staff and everyone else involved in this lengthy effort.
Thank you for sure.
John.
Hi, yeah, thank you for everyone's efforts. Just while there's a group of people in here that were focused on this issue, I just wanted to raise a correction or just a clarification. The assessor's office and the Board of Assessors offers tax relief programs, numerous tax relief programs. There are 10 at least. There's one program that limits income to $40,000, but there are several others that do not. So I encourage people that are interested in learning more about that to go to actonma.gov/assessor or to call the assessor's office 978-929-6621. There are several options and tiers of exemptions and relief programs available. There is one that has a $40,000 limit, but that shouldn't be the talking point that comes out of that discussion. So just wanted to make sure it's clear that there are several programs available.
Thank you. David?
Yes, and I believe that the Municipal Empowerment Act would give us additional flexibility there. And so if people are concerned, contact your state legislators and ask them to pass the Municipal Empowerment Act.
Okay.
Thank you. At this point, Planning Board's moving down to continue in room 9. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Item 8, discussion of planned roadwork and detours on Powder Mill Road. Mr. Manager.
Thank you. This is an item that people maybe would be interested in because it's going to impact the community for the summer, the entire summer most likely. So the apartments at Powder Mill are being constructed. The building is they're doing a great job with the work. You can see it as you drive by, but they need to put a sewer main right in the middle of Route 62 to connect it to the project. And so the sewer main will be constructed from the corner of High Street and Route 62, and it'll go all the way basically to the area of the project, which is opposite the Wendy's restaurant. That's a pretty good stretch of road to put a sewer main in. And because it's in the middle of the road, they were thinking they were going to have to close the road and detour around it during business hours, which we all thought would be not a good idea. So we had a good meeting with the contractor, with the police department, the fire department, the public works department. We had actually Maynard and Concord public safety folks were at the meeting as well, because it's basically the corner of those 3 towns, and all 3 of us will be impacted. So I just wanted to provide the notice that they'll be working 7 to 3 in the road through October, starting next month, starting after Memorial Day, and through October. And there'll be periods of time where that detour will be necessary, maybe a day or 2, but for the most part, during that period, they'll have 1 lane going, and we'll have traffic details to let people through. So expect some delays. Wendy's will still be open. All the businesses that are on that stretch will still be open, and we'll do our best to make sure that they aren't impacted any more than necessary. We talked about having them do the work overnight as an option, and while it's technically feasible, it changes the whole dynamics of the project, and they prefer to do it during the day. And so that's really the update. I just wanted to make sure that I put it in I mentioned it Friday to the seniors at the senior center, and I wanted to mention it to all of you. We're still finalizing the actual schedule, so this is a preview, but it was worth mentioning now. And then once we have the official schedule and the official plan, we'll publish that on all the channels that we normally do and signboards, et cetera. But just wanted to make sure you knew about it.
Thank you. Alyssa.
Thank you. Thank you very much for providing this update, and also for pushing back on the original plan to close the road completely. I think it was not just a not good idea, it was unacceptable. So I appreciate that from Maynard, Acton, and Concord. My question is, the traffic details, are those funded by the builder?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you.
David?
And John, do you know how long the one-way sections will be that the detail will have to have traffic wait and go back and forth?
So, yeah, the sections will be basically from Wendy's to, they'll do it in groups, so it'll be that whole stretch. And then once they finish up to Sudbury Road, the project will be, I think it won't be as impacted. The community won't be as impacted as much, but that's the period of time between May and October when they're doing Sudbury Road to basically the town line.
So, but it'll be done in sections, so the one-way section will be for a few hundred feet.
I would just plan on that whole stretch that I just mentioned being one way during the working hours those days.
And
Yeah.
two-way overnight. They'll fix it up every afternoon so that.
Yeah, they'll close, and that's part of the reason that they wanted to use the detour and close the road, is they thought they could work faster and they wouldn't have to have people, because basically they're digging very deep, removing the dirt, bringing it somewhere, and then doing all the work, and then bringing the dirt back. So if they have to do that, it'll interrupt the traffic. But we all said it's worth it to just try to do that. So yeah, they'll open the road up at 3 o'clock every day, or 3:30. I don't know what time they finish, probably between 3 and 4. And then it'll be open for the rush hour in the afternoon. But then it'll be detoured or impacted for the morning commute. So it'll be tough. It'll be summer, so there'll be school buses and school people won't be on the road as much, but everyone else still will be. So hopefully they finish as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Item 9, approve request from Acton Community Housing Corporation for funding $60,000 for Habitat for Humanity North Central Mass Affordable Housing Project at 416 Great Road in Acton. I think we have somebody here from ACHC to talk about this. No?
We're happy to answer any questions that the board has, and we can call to the audience as needed. The memo in the packet provided a detail of what the funding would be used for.
Okay, any questions from the board?
I was going to move to approve, yeah, sure. Move to approve the request for the Acton Community Housing Corporation for funding $60,000 for Habitat for Humanity North Central Mass Affordable Housing Project at 416 Great Road in Acton.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion? Jim?
Just as a reminder, this money is not, sitting in our general fund. This is special money that the ACHC has that the way it's written, the select board has to approve spending from this trust, but it's an easy yes.
Thank you. Okay, we've got a motion, it's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimously approved. Item 10, authorization for execution of documents related to Wetherbee Conservation Restriction CR closing. Mr. Manager?
Yeah, so this is a project that the town meeting recently supported, that we received the $500,000 grant from the state, and that Olivia Barksdale, our conservation agent, had been working very diligently to do all the prep work and working with town council's office. And they got the paperwork to us just in time for this agenda, and we ask that you authorize the execution of all the documents that are needed related to the Wetherbee Conservation Restriction, which will be recorded after the closing, and then we'll use that to submit to the state to get the grant funds. And it'll be permanently protected in the way that you all and the community wants it to.
Thank you. See if someone would like to make a motion?
I move to approve that the conservation restriction on the property being granted by the town of Acton, acting by and through its select board to the Sudbury Valley Trustees, Inc., in the form presented to the select board tonight, May 19, 2025, and to authorize the select board to execute the conservation restriction, and to authorize the town manager to take all actions on behalf of the select board that are reasonably necessary in the judgment of the town manager to complete the select board's granting of the conservation restriction, including without limitation, executing any and all closing documents and/or closing forms.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passed unanimously.
Mr. Chair, I'll be passing along the document for 2 signatures from each member.
Thank you. Item 11, discuss and vote on request for fossil fuel bylaw waiver application, Sri Chatnaya Samanchi, 2 Betty Lane. I believe the applicant is online. Be free to speak. Jim, I know you've been in discussion with the applicant. Would you like to lead off?
Sure.
I think the applicant may have pressed the, oh, no, sorry, never mind.
You want me to start off first?
Yes, please.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and the board member for going through the application, and really appreciate giving me one more chance. There was some confusion last week. I couldn't attend the meeting, and thanks for giving a chance, and especially to Jim having a pre-meeting with me. So, this is a new construction at 2 Betty Lane that I recently purchased, and everything in the home 100% runs on electric. The request is only for the request for a gas-based stove rather than induction or electric-based. Again, all of my reasons, I would just boil down to 3 main points. The first thing is from a cost perspective or from the utensils that we have, forever we have been cooking, at least we have been living more than 20 years in Rhode Island. The entire utensils or everything we have is 100% for a gas-based stove. It's all curved and it's a thing that we have to replace them altogether. And the second area that I would like to highlight is more on the taste and the style of the cooking. I believe this is the main point that was discussed in last meeting too, but just want to bring up the point once again. So it's all curved big, the dishes are become much better because we pretty much eat at home all through the week and stuff like that. So this is our main activity, and kind of celebration at home is around food. So that's the area where we are really trying to enter into a zone which we have never done before. And so that's why the second is on the cost and the style of the cooking. I mean, I can go with more examples. I'm trying to be really short in terms of time too. And the third area mainly is the inconvenience or getting adjusted to induction-based stove cooking. Especially for me or for my wife, probably we'll learn in a couple of months maybe. But especially with my mom or my in-laws, making sure the induction stove alignment happens perfectly. It's all based on magnetic-based cooking. So it has to be perfectly aligned, or whatever is the magnetic area that gets aligned is the only area that's going to get heat. So with my parents or in-laws around 70 years age, I don't know how far I'll be able to train them correctly to make sure the alignment, the pan has to be exactly within the circle and stuff like that. So that's another area. And like I mentioned, the other devices are all electric, which don't impact much of my day-to-day life. But with the cooking area, which is almost 3 to 4 times a day activity, that's what is getting impacted here. And I agree that it's all like the fossil fuel and the climate change, and for all the good reasons we are trying to do this. Like while I'm really like making all the changes in all other areas, this is one area where I'm asking for an exception to allow a gas-based stove instead of induction one.
Okay, thank you. Let's start with Fran.
Sri, I just have one question in that, and I'm not sure if you had mentioned this. Are you using propane gas, or is it going to be a gas line to the house?
That's, I mean, if permitted, it's going to be a propane-based one, because the line has not been drawn from the Great Road.
Yeah,
So it's going to be a propane-based one.
Thank you.
Which, like I mentioned in the application, I'll be using all professional and proper certification to make it happen.
Yeah, thanks.
Jim.
Good to see you again. I really appreciated our conversation and learned more about your situation. I think we exchanged ideas. I'm sure, for example, that there are millions of people successfully doing Indian cooking. The high heat with the spices and the high heat with the vegetables successfully on induction. The point you raised, which I was. Which I felt in my heart, was that, you're talking about your mother and your mother-in-law, they're older, the idea of having them learn, the little differences that go into induction cooking was not something that you wanted to put them through. So I understood that. I was still left with the sense that this was the wrong place for us to make an exception to the bylaw, because it will lead to a lot of other exceptions as well. I did suggest the possibility of, if you're going to have propane, have one of these portable, outdoor stoves with that you can put on a porch, that you can, successfully cook with a familiar blue flame, and that might be a good transitional strategy. What else? I think that was about it. I think we covered a lot of it in person and at the previous meeting. Induction, of course, would require, as different cookware, flat bottom, all metal, anything that a refrigerator magnet will stick to, and that kind of cookware is readily available. Thanks.
Other comments? Well, my comment on it is that twofold. One is overall on the entire policy and the bylaw is I think that this is overly intrusive for the town to get involved in telling people how they're going to cook within their own homes. And I understand that there was a bylaw that was passed, but I still have some objections to it, and I feel that it's unusually obtrusive, and I think that where we have situations with folks with cultural differences being used to certain cooking methods, I think we should be tolerant and supportive of those. Also, I think that it's where the applicant is talking about using propane. It's not like there's going to be an installation of a regular gas line into a residence. Propane could be removed if a new homeowner came in. Make note of the fact that I actually have propane heat from my house, at least a portion of it. And so I don't have to connect to natural gas lines, which there aren't any on my street. But at some point, if a future homeowner of my property decided to go all electric, it's easy to do, and they don't have to disconnect any lines. They can just eliminate the propane tanks. So frankly, I would support this waiver application. Alyssa?
Thank you.
So I'm also in support of this. For me, it comes down to respect. And although town meeting did pass a bylaw to eliminate fossil fuels in new construction and major renovation, this is, as you mentioned, Dean, a propane tank, not a new gas line. I think that what I would like to see, though, is some more education efforts, and I'm thinking, I'm sure there are a lot of different avenues we might pursue, but what comes to mind is someone purchasing a newly constructed home in a town that is fossil fuel free. I want the real estate agents to be communicating that to folks, so that they know upfront before an offer is made what the town's bylaw is. And that might be just a simple pamphlet that the Sustainability Office provides to all of the realtors who work in Acton or something. I'm sure there's lots of other ideas out there, but some sort of educational, increase in our educational efforts is in order.
Thank you. David?
Yes, I'm conflicted about this. I will say that for a number of things that the applicant put on his form, they're actually better in induction. Controlling a pressure cooker is easier on an induction stove. Getting to high heat is faster on an induction stove. I do understand that round bottom pans are problematic, but there are new versions of those which work well, and they're certainly less expensive than putting in a propane installation. At some point, we have to decide that, we're going to move away from the things that cause global warming, and that takes commitment. In the beginning, it's going to be harder. It'll be a little bit easier when, people know 10 friends that have done the conversion and it works well. I think that we should, the problem for me here is if we offer one exception, we'll be asked to offer a lot of exceptions. And how do we evaluate, the value of another person's exception versus this one? I think it's really, really difficult for us to say, we like someone else's exception better than your exception. I think it's, the differences are more perceived than real, and I think we need to kind of move forward.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Jim?
Yeah, I think the split in the board reflects my own ambivalence, because, I feel for your situation, and I also feel for, the success of a policy. In terms of education, I had a good talk with Humsha Naidu, who used to do cooking shows in the town of Acton, and all on induction, and was very reassuring about, the ability to cook on induction. But it does seem to call for a new round of ActonTV cooking to show, successful high heat cooking on induction stovetops. It might even be enough to, teach people who have used, gas all their lives, that, oh, here's a better way, it's worth doing.
Okay, I will see if anyone would like to make a motion.
I move to approve the request for fossil fuel bylaw waiver from Sri Chaitanya Somanchi at 2 Betty Lane.
I'll second that. Further discussion? All in favor of the approval for the fossil fuel bylaw waiver application, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
3-2, your application has been approved.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate your decision. Thank you.
All right, item 12, approve request for building permit fee refund from Yanma for 51 Robbins Street. We did discuss this briefly at our last meeting.
Yes, thank. The board asked that I talk to staff about how much time was spent before this decision was made to seek the refund. I haven't had a chance to connect directly with everyone that was involved, but I'm just looking through the online permitting system right now, and the fee was paid February 22nd at 11:28 p.m., and the building department reviewed it 3 days later. The planning conservation department reviewed it the next day. The health department reviewed it 2 days after that. Engineering department reviewed it. The fire department reviewed it in March. The conservation department, or staff reviewed it in February 26th. And then it got back to the planning department where it went to the ZBA, and then that's where it stopped. So I don't know how many hours that was, but it was that many people spending a little bit of time on it. And you could say it takes them a half hour to do something like that. I could get you a more precise estimate if you need it, but I think, let me know if that's helpful, or if you want me to go back and find some more details on it.
David?
Yeah, I'm sure like this, like everything else in the world, the 80-20 rule applies. So we didn't spend a lot of money doing inspections on any construction, right? So that's where most of the money would be. But we have, as this said, I think we should develop, maybe if not a policy, a kind of convention where we refund all but 20%, all but 15%, whatever we want to choose as a number that we think is a reasonable approximation of the time staff has spent. I'm really concerned, as I've expressed this concern before. I mean, this funds our staff doing this work, and I'm hesitant to give a full refund, but I do understand that most of the work was not done here, and so I'm okay giving a most refund, if not a full refund. Thanks.
Alyssa?
So, given that the bulk of the fee is for inspections, John, can you provide a percentage? Is David's 80% refund sound good, or do we need more information before we can say that?
If you wanted to come up with a refund policy, I'm not comfortable doing that on the spot. And I think 80-20, I don't know if that, it sounds okay, but I'd rather talk to the building department about what they think about that. So as much as I'd rather have this be dealt with tonight, I'm happy to bring it back if you like, with more detail. I mean, if you want it to be brought forward with a proposal for how to handle all of these in the future, that's something that would be different than just coming back with information about this one.
So I was going to actually make a motion to deny this, given that I share the concern about setting a precedent. And I also think that since this request came in a couple months ago, that it would be nice to take care of it tonight. So I think it would be okay for us to approve a partial refund now, maybe somewhere between 70 and 80%, and then at a later date come up with a policy that is reflective of a more well-known split.
David?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. I don't think in the future that we need to, count up the hours on each permit, right? That's too much, unless it's done automated, in an automated fashion through the permitting system. Instead, I think that we should, as Alyssa suggests, she said somewhere between 70 and 80, that would be 75. And then that we develop a guideline moving forward, if we think the number of hours that's spent in the pre-work is 20% or whatever, that's what we do in the future. So I would move that we refund 75% of the building fee in this case.
Can you repeat that number, Deb?
I would propose that we refund 75% of the building fee in this case.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to refund 75% of the building permit fee. Any further discussion? Alyssa?
John, can we have some sort of comfort level with that?
So my understanding is this property owner wanted to do a project, a big project. It got denied. It looks like they ultimately did a small project and paid another fee to do the small project. I don't know the exact, whether if it was totally different or just related. So I think that the building commissioner recommended this being refunded, and he's usually pretty good about things like that. So I would defer to him, but again, if you want, I can circle back and get a more precise estimate of what we think makes sense for a refund.
David?
I didn't realize that there was the small project. That changes things for me, because if everybody would like, I would like to withdraw my motion for 75%.
The second withdrawer?
Second, yes, I'll retract my second.
Thank you. David?
And then I'd like to make a motion to do what the building commissioner recommends and to refund this permit fee.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to refund the entire fee. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Refund the entire fee. But I do think this will probably come up again, John, so might be something that you should talk to staff about, figure out some sort of a protocol we can follow.
We'll certainly present more of the picture to help with some of the context that I sort of just happened upon. But we'll make sure that's included in any future requests.
Thank you. Item 13, approve payment in lieu of taxes, pilot agreement for Discovery Way. Mr. Manager.
Yes, so in Massachusetts, solar projects and solar-related projects are often taxed in a way that's called a pilot agreement. It's a payment in lieu of taxes. And when you build a solar, in this case, this is a building where it's being leased and they're putting in solar infrastructure, and our assessors would tax that as personal property. And so rather than every year when the reevaluation of properties goes through, rather than having our assessor go out and analyze the solar equipment and the solar market to determine how much that should be valued on, an agreement is reached between the town and the developer to have a fixed rate of assessment over a long period of time, typically 20 years, depending on what the assets are. And that provides a stable tax payment for the town and provides a stable known cost for the development and the financing partners. In this case, the packet provided the document that is being proposed. It's a $63,825 a year pilot payment, which was, there are several ways to develop the costing, and this one was based on the value of the equipment. And that's also included in the document where they used estimates and then valued that, and then spread that over 20 years. And this is something that we've done with other solar projects in town, so this isn't new. By state law, town meeting has to authorize us to enter into these agreements. Town meeting in 2022 provided that authorization for these agreements going forward. I forget the article number, but I can find it if you'd like. And so we have authorization, and we're recommending that the board sign this. The other thing that's helpful for us here in Acton is that within the last 15 years or so, the town passed a home rule petition creating an energy efficiency fund. And part of the arrangement that was made is that revenues from solar like this would be deposited into the energy efficiency fund, providing a dedicated resource for projects and programs and initiatives, and the town to create its own renewable energy projects. And so this $68,000 would actually go into that fund and help with our climate action goals going forward. So I recommend this, and I'm happy to answer any questions as best I can.
Thank you. Alyssa?
So I see that the 20 years pilot payments are all identical. Was the depreciation of the equipment taken into account when coming up with this schedule? And I also wanted to just clarify for the public, you called it a solar project like this, but this is independent of solar. It's a standalone battery, correct? I know it's related.
Yeah, I should have said renewable energy.
Okay.
Project, which is what this one is. And yeah, so there's a whole negotiation that took place. So this project was approved a few years ago. We've been talking about negotiating with them ever since. And they say, oh, we think it should be this amount, and we negotiate back and forth. And to answer your question, yes, the 20 years is the result of that negotiations with that depreciation factored in. But they just make it fixed, so just for simplicity.
Other questions? Jim?
Does the DOR need to approve these pilot arrangements?
They would probably want to take a look at it. I don't know, it wouldn't, I don't know. Good question.
Okay.
But we do it under laws and statutes that they oversee, so we follow their guidance in creating this. And we've done it in the past before, too.
Thanks.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
David raised his hand.
David?
I move to approve the pilot agreement as presented for Discovery Way.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any last minute thoughts? Call for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Approved.
Thank you.
Nice segue. Item 14. Approve appropriation of $250,000 from Energy Efficiency Fund for final design of Town Hall HVAC and Emergency Power Replacement Project. Mr. Manager.
Hi, everybody. So in your packet tonight is a memo outlining what we're proposing for the next steps in the Town Hall HVAC and Emergency Power Replacement Program. As you're aware, town meeting did not approve the allocation for construction and final design for the project. But after some review and conversations between town staff and a proposal that's been drafted by Salis O'Brien, the project's designer, we found that it would be another $250,000 to be able to complete design of the replacement project and put it out to bid. And the intent of that would be to place this out to bid and have a construction price in hand, and then go back to town meeting with an actual construction number. What we're proposing tonight is that the board would approve an appropriation from the Energy Efficiency Fund that we would use to pay for the design. The other piece of this project is the owner's project manager, PMA Consultants, and we do have a contract that's funded right now for their services through bidding, so we don't require any additional funding for their services. There's a draft motion in the packet as well for your consideration, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, David?
Yeah, thank you, Tom. What is the time frame for this design?
Roughly 4 to 5 months.
Thank you.
I move to approve an appropriation of $250,000 from the Energy Efficiency Fund for the purposes of final design and bidding services associated with the Town Hall HVAC and Emergency Power Replacement Project. And I should probably add dollars, $250,000.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Further discussion? Jim?
One of the things I appreciate about this plan is that the 4 to 5 month timeframe means that this time we would have plenty of time to do education, outreach, and have a more compelling presentation ready for a town meeting to, it was so close to that 2/3. I think we can, with that much time, we can definitely get it above 2/3. And it might not even, it would still require borrowing, right, eventually, to actually build this thing? Okay, so it'd still be a 2/3 vote. Great.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passed unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 15, confirm select board liaison assignments. You've all seen it in your packet. We haven't had any changeover on the board. I haven't heard any suggestions of mutiny. I went through it again today, specifically looking at some of Alyssa's assignments. So a couple of questions as to whether some of these committees are even still viable at this point. Citizens Library Advisory Committee, has that been sunsetted yet?
I would say no, because our home rule petition still needs to pass through the legislature, which won't be until next year, the end of next year. But we won't need to meet. I guess if we sunsetted it, would it be just a quick vote of the select board to bring it back into existence? Like, could that be done pretty quickly?
I think if you think there might be some possible need for meetings at some point in the future, even if you're not meeting, you might as well keep it on the docket.
Okay.
I think I'd compare that to my presence on the Kelly's Corner Steering Committee, which I think we'll probably have one meeting when we do the ribbon cutting and we'll go out of business. Further down, also, Alyssa, the Health Insurance Trust.
We are still meeting every month.
Okay. And I guess finally, the trustees for West Acton and Acton Memorial Library, those still viable appointments?
Yes, but that means, as they're meeting jointly, just one meeting a month. Although I do also attend meetings of the redesign committee, sometimes policy committee. There are a few different subcommittees that I attend meetings of when I'm available.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any changes that they would like to make? David?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the AB Regional, the AB Regional School Committee, I'm trying to look it up, the District School Building Committee, that is no longer in effect. Was for the Boardwalk campus, and the last meeting was like a year ago, so that's done.
Okay, I guess we can eliminate that one.
That can be stricken.
All right, any other changes anybody would like to make? Alyssa?
I have a question about the Human Services Committee. I know that there have been a
We have-
couple of new appointments. Are they meeting?
We are not meeting currently, and I'd like to revive that now that I have extra time. So that is going
Okay.
to be my focus.
So I was looking at my different committees and seeing that there was a theme. And it's water and health and culture and libraries. So I saw a synergy with Human Services Committee, and I might be able to devote time to getting it back on its feet. But you mentioned a very good point that since you're no longer an officer, you will have time to devote to that. I don't want to yank it from you.
Definitely devoting time, and you're welcome to join us whenever.
Okay, well, I don't know if there's any need for a vote on this. Everyone seems content. Thumbs up. Thank you very much. Okay. Assigned member to attend Eagle Scout Court of Honor on June 4th, 2025. I believe it's Troop 12 and Troop 32. If anyone's interested, if not, I can take it. I guess I'll take it.
I'm always interested in those.
It's up. Okay. Alyssa.
I have it on my calendar, but I would love to accompany you rather than being there on my own.
Okay. I've got to do a little follow-up to get the names of the Eagle Scout candidates, but we plan on it. It's up at Narrow Park at the picnic pavilion. So
What are the troop numbers?
I believe it's 12 and 32. All right. Moving along to consent. Item 17, approved meeting minutes, April 15th, 28th, May 5th, and 6th, 2025. Number 18, approved letter of support for Municipal Empowerment Act to Acton State Delegation. Number 19, approved letter of support for Acton Memorial Library application for Massachusetts Office of Disability Grant. Number 20, approve amendment to intermunicipal agreement with Littleton for regional electrical inspector. Item 21, approve a gift for $200 from Ann Forbes to support the Acton 250 committee programs and deposited in the Acton 250 Celebration Fund. 22, accept gifts to support the 2025 Summer Concert Series and events, $1,000 from Coleman Knight Advisory Group, $500 from Tables to Teapots, $500 from Open Door Education. Number 23, approve a one-day malt and wine license for Nashoba Valley Neighbors Club at Narrow Park Bathhouse Pavilion on June 13th, 2025. And number 24, notification of approval of one-day malt and wine license for Nira Mizanovic at Narrow Park Bathhouse on May 17th per Select Board one-day alcoholic beverage license policy.
Move to approve consent items 17 through 24 inclusive.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Looking for one more motion.
I move to adjourn?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you very much.
When we were talking about National Grid, yeah, that was worrying me.